And we are live, and it's working. Yay! Welcome, welcome. How's it going? We're gonna brew another cup of coffee today. I'm just gonna get my water over there and get everything set up. But yeah, just sit down, relax, and join me as I brew a cup of coffee. So yet again, these are the beans we're brewing with, the Rwandan beans from the Library Specialty Coffee. So I've tried a lot of different recipes so far, and right now we're doing a different one. So yoink, I'll bring you over here. So we'll be using a 1:17 ratio. We'll be using 15 grams of coffee. We'll be using 255 grams of water. We'll be using boiling water, and the grind size will be 37. And the change today is that we'll be using 2 minutes instead of 3 minutes, hopefully to lower the extraction a bit. Okay, so let's start brewing. I'm gonna turn it down into the brew cam area, like so. Nice, nice. Fifteen grams of coffee. So if you were following yesterday, I was showing my coffee plant that I hadn't repotted yet, but guess what? This morning I decided to just do it and repot it. So it's in soil, it has its own nice pot, and it's looking really stellar. Yay, welcome David. Nice to meet you live. It's a very new thing, so we'll see how it goes, but I'm really enjoying it so far. A quick summary, we'll be brewing with these Rwandan beans over here from the Library Specialty Coffee. I've been playing around with a lot of the recipes that I want, and so far I've gotten a really good recipe on July 20th, or 30th. And I'm playing around with higher brewing ratios and coarser grinds right now, just to see if I can get something delicious out of it. So here's the beans. Ta-da! Okay, so let's prep our Aeropress. Put the filter in the cap, turn the cap on to the chamber, get a cup that you want to brew in, like so, get the boiling water, and we're going to preheat . Like so, and then I'm going to pour out the preheated water. Now we pour in the grinds. I actually have no idea. My sister got it for me, and I don't know if it's a Arabica or Robusta. I should probably look up the leaves and see what kind of leaves it fully matches, but yeah, I'll let you know when I know. Okay, then we turn it over to time mode, like so. And we start pouring. So we're gonna pour 255 grams of water, and we're gonna let it steep for 2 minutes. So I'm gonna turn on the timer. Pour, pour, pour. And I just make sure to saturate all the grinds at once because we'll be putting in the plunger. $2.55, like so, to lock in the extraction. And now we wait for 1 minute and 30 seconds. Do you have any plans, David? I'll be right back. Okay, so we're getting close to the 2-minute mark. I'm gonna prepare myself to press. Ten more seconds. And now. Wow. Oh, no chestnuts. Wait, only one tree survived though, so not a good chance of getting any chestnuts. Ooh. Well, seems like you have a flourishing somewhat garden. Chestnuts are cool. My mom has a huge garden too, and her garden is just popping crazily, and I wish I had that type of a green thumb, but sadly enough I don't, and that's why I have these easy snake plants that kind of just survive on their own by me not doing anything, just watering them every now and then. I've never heard of the myoga. I'll have to look it up. Can you use it for something interesting, I heard? Is it like a tea herb, or is it like a medicinal herb? Well, regardless, we got a cup of coffee. So as always, I usually like to let it cool down a bit. It's a bit too hot right off the bat to drink and to distinguish any flavors and tastes. So yet again, I'll just share my coffee plant, my love for that. And also I am pet sitting for a whole week, so I'll be taking care of a cat called Pablo. And right after this, I'll be going over and feeding him, which is awesome and fun. And it's just a nice mix-up in my routine to take care of a pet. So yeah, I'm kind of excited for that. So I was thinking down the road that I should really explore with some lower brewing ratios right now with this coffee, because even though I've tried to increase the brewing ratio to get more clarity and interesting flavors over here, the best quality of these beans over here have actually been the mouthfeel and body. I haven't had any really interesting like tastes come out, so instead of trying to force those out, I would instead next time maybe go in an even lower brewing ratio to really emphasize that mouthfeel and quality. Oh, so it's a ginger except you harvest the flower buds. Interesting, interesting. I love ginger. Does it have like the same intense like spiciness and strong taste? Can you use it for the same purposes? Yoga. Yeah, I'll have to look it up. Okay, let's do a quick sippy sip. So this cup is, in my opinion, better than yesterday's cup, but it's not as good as the one that I got a couple of days ago on the 30th. It has a bit more of a interesting taste going on, but it's kind of lacking in body that I really enjoyed in the beginning on the 30th and in those earlier brews with a lower brewing ratio. Oh, it doesn't taste like ginger. Well, I'll still look it up for sure. Like, it's a very pleasant cup of coffee, but I feel like it's so normal and slightly boring that none of the cool qualities that I have gotten before shine through in this cup. So I think that this one is actually like mediocre at best, like yesterday's cup, but a bit better than yesterday's cup. So what am I learning here? Well, I'm learning that when I was brewing with a 1:16 ratio, the mouthfeel and those qualities that really just gave it a juicier body was the highlighting quality of the cup of coffee, and I should really be trying to embrace that instead of forcing out some flavors that weren't really there to begin with, but I really wanted to see if were there. So in my next brew, I'm probably gonna try to, if you brewed a smaller batch, would you get the same result? No, because the amount of coffee and the water used totally changes it. But it's a less of a change in immersion brewers like the inverted Aeropress or what I'm doing with the suction cup. But in a pour over, it matters a lot because the brew time decreases by a lot when you're using less coffee, which means less water too. And same with upscaling your recipe. It just takes way longer to brew and it just doesn't work. So you gotta compensate a bit with your brewing recipe to tweak your recipe for the extraction. And I've actually made a video on that I can link you in the chat shortly. It's called Scaling Up or Down Your Brewing Recipe, I believe. Yeah, it's a really weird thing because you would think that scaling a recipe is universal. Like, oh yeah, a baking recipe, you just double it up or like half it. But there are some interesting qualities that change, like variables, and one of them is the time. The other one is actually like the bed size. So a lot of people want a nice and squared coffee bed, like a cube, and they say that the extraction is way better when it's like more like cubed versus a very like thin layer of coffee. So even the bed of coffee really matters and how much like agitation occurs in there. So yeah, but the biggest thing is actually time, and time really matters with pour overs. So tomorrow I'm gonna mix up the recipe again, and I'm gonna go lower in the brewing ratio. So let's see, I'll bring it over here. So August 2nd, we're gonna do a 1:15 brewing ratio. We'll still use 15 grams of coffee. Now the ratio has changed, so it means that we'll be using less water. So 15 times 15 is 225. 225 grams of water. We'll use boiling. And to compensate for the lower brewing ratio, which means that we're extracting less from the bean, we'll be increasing some other variables. So let's increase both the grind size a bit. So instead of 37, we'll change it to 35, meaning grinding it finer. And we'll also increase it by 1 minute. And we'll see how that goes. 1:15 ratio, 15 grams of coffee, which means 225 grams of water. We'll be using boiling water. We're changing grind size to 35 instead of 37, and we'll use 1 additional minute. But overall, this cup of coffee right over here it's pleasant, but I feel like there could be more interesting qualities that could take the spotlight here, and that's why we're doing this big change in the brewing recipe to mix things up again. And I did that before to see if I could get some more clarity and some more interesting specific tastes in the cup of coffee, but what I realized after brewing with it twice now with a higher brewing ratio is that I couldn't really find those interesting flavors that I wanted in these beans over here. So we're going to revert a bit and focus more on the mouthfeel and see if we can get a better cup of coffee there. Why what, Ferg? Oh yeah, and I lowered the latency on the stream, so there should be a lesser lag between when I am speaking to the camera and when you guys are replying to me. So hopefully that can be seen or not. I don't know. I don't know how the streaming fully works yet. But yeah, any Sunday plans for you guys? As I mentioned earlier, I'm gonna go and feed a cat called Pablo that I'm going to pet sit for a whole week. So that's gonna be fun. Here, let me find that brewing video for you, David.